June 6, 1944, the largest invasion ever launched. But Hitler remained asleep. His aides feared waking him. They knew his rage. Hours slipped by as thousands of troops hit the beaches. When he finally stirred, he uttered words that exposed his greatest error and doomed Germany. His officers stood in disbelief at what they heard. Those words would linger in their minds forever. The dawn that shifted the war. It was June 6, 1944. Dawn broke over France. Countless Allied soldiers poured onto Normandy's shores. This was D-Day, the most massive assault the globe had witnessed. Vessels packed with American, British, and Canadian forces sliced through the surf. Aircraft thundered above. Blasts rang along the coast. German defenders on the sands were utterly surprised. They shot back in panic. Yet Allied waves surged onward without end. Far in Germany, Hitler's command center stirred. Calls flooded the lines. A huge event unfolded in France, yet a key issue loomed. Hitler himself stayed in bed, and no one risked rousing him. His team lingered rigid in the corridors. They murmured anxiously among themselves. They stared at his chamber door. Germany's destiny teetered, but the leader in command remained clueless. The ruler who overslept, Hitler followed an odd schedule. He frequently stayed awake until 4 or 5 in the morning. He chatted endlessly with his close aides, at times on battle strategies, at times wandering into topics like art or the past. Then he slumbered until late in the day. His team understood this pattern, and they grasped another rule too: never disturb the leader unless vital. Hitler's anger was infamous. Officers endured shouts for minor issues. Some lost their posts instantly. Others met graver fates. So that morning, as invasion updates streamed in, his leaders faced a tough dilemma: rouse him and face his wrath, or delay and squander critical moments. They opted to delay. Hours ticked away. Allied units pushed further into French territory. They claimed landing zones. They advanced toward the interior, and Hitler rested soundly, totally oblivious. That postponement would ruin Germany. But his statement upon awakening proved even more harmful: the deadly blunder. When Hitler arose near midday, his aides hurried to update him. They displayed charts. They outlined the crisis. Thousands of foe soldiers occupied French coasts. Hitler heard them out. Then he spoke words that shocked the entire group. He labeled it a feint. He felt certain the true assault would strike at Calais. That lay in another section of France, farther north. Hitler thought Normandy served as a ruse, a ploy to pull German units from the spot of the actual strike. His leaders attempted to clarify. The proof stood evident. This formed no feint. This marked the genuine assault, but Hitler dismissed them. He had fixed his view months prior. He had strengthened Calais extensively. He held his top armored groups there, and he declined to dispatch them to Normandy, even amid the fierce fight, even as his forces pleaded for aid. "Let them advance," he supposedly remarked. "We will smash them at Calais." But Calais never materialized. And once Hitler grasped his error, the chance had vanished. The armor that stayed put. German fighters at Normandy battled fiercely. They required support. In particular, they needed armor. Germany possessed strong panzer groups close by. These elite tank forces could have driven the Allies back to the water. But Hitler alone directed these groups. Only he could command their movement. And he denied it. For hour upon hour, he denied it. His battlefield leaders sent frantic pleas. "We demand reinforcements immediately." The foe pushes forward. Hitler's reply: "Hold on. The true assault aims at Calais." War scholars term this among the war's largest missteps. When Hitler at last consented to release the Panzers, evening approached. Almost 12 hours had been lost, and by that point the Allies held firm spots. They had placed anti-tank weapons. They had planes patrolling the skies. As German tanks reached the scene, aircraft targeted them. Allied flyers wrecked them piece by piece. The holdup had proven disastrous. What might have formed a German strike turned into a frantic hold, and it all traced to Hitler's belief that dawn, why Hitler erred so badly. So what made Hitler so sure about Calais? Why did he overlook the clear facts? The Allies executed a clever trick plan. It bore the name Operation Fortitude. They built phony armies, blow-up tanks, mock aircraft, bogus radio signals, all set near Calais. They even assigned General Patton to lead this sham force. Germany recognized Patton. He ranked as their most dreaded rival. Hitler's agents spotted this vast setup. They snapped images. They caught radio chatter. All signs directed to Calais, and Hitler swallowed it fully. He had persuaded himself so deeply that no facts could sway him. This aspect renders the tale so compelling. Hitler showed no lack of wits. He had claimed victories via daring choices. But that day, his rigidity turned into his flaw. Even as his own staff presented evidence, he brushed it aside. This is what they hope we assume, he maintained. He favored his gut over facts. And that choice altered the whole war's path. The figure who insisted on full authority committed a fully ruinous error. The leaders who saw the truth. Hitler's war chiefs grasped the reality. Field Marshal Rommel had foreseen it. Rommel had checked Normandy's shores months before. He alerted Hitler, if they strike, it will be here. He urged for stronger barriers at Normandy, more soldiers, more tanks stationed close. Hitler had disregarded him. Rommel lost the argument. Supplies flowed to Calais instead. On D-Day's dawn, Rommel stayed away from his station. He had traveled home to Germany for his wife's birthday. Upon learning the news, he sped back right away, but harm had already struck. Other German chiefs felt similar frustration. They observed the events. They issued correct orders. But in Nazi Germany, war choices channeled through one person. Hitler had gathered all authority. He relied on no others. This extended beyond D-Day. Hitler had overridden his chiefs for years. At times it succeeded. Often it failed. But on June 6, 1944, his drive for utter command rebounded totally. As he dozed and then rigidly held his false idea, the conflict escaped his grip. Events unfolded on those shores, and Hitler penned Germany's loss. The aftermath. By D-Day's close, over 150,000 Allied soldiers had reached France. They endured heavy losses. Thousands perished on those sands, but they maintained their hold. The Germans forfeited their opening, the sole shot to force the assault back to the sea. Hitler's slow reply had cost them all. In weeks, the Allies commanded Normandy fully. They set up huge supply routes. Fresh soldiers came daily. Tanks, guns, gear, all essentials. From that base, they started driving through France. Freedom commenced. Hitler never bounced back from this slip. The Western fight essentially ended. It merely needed 11 more months to conclude. His chiefs recognized it. Some started scheming to kill him. They viewed Hitler's rule as wrecking Germany. But Hitler never owned his D-Day error. Even as his realm fell apart, he faulted his leaders. He faulted betrayers. He faulted all but himself. The man who crafted his persona as a master planner could not confront the facts. He had botched utterly, and it all linked to that single dawn, when he overslept, when he tuned out advice, when he refused. The phrase that doomed Germany. So, what precise words did Hitler voice that dawn upon arising? Eyewitnesses say his initial response lacked alarm. It showed rejection. So, they have arrived, he supposedly stated evenly. Then, he spoke the ruinous terms that shaped the day. This is not the true invasion. Those 6 terms summed up all flaws in Hitler's rule. His pride, his inflexibility, his denial of facts. He had sold himself so wholly that he missed the truth even as it invaded France. Once he shifted his view, the moment had passed eternally. War specialists examine this instant even now. It appears in military schools as a case of command breakdown. One person's vanity, one person's slip, one dawn of postponement, and World War II's direction transformed fully. Normandy's shores marked Nazi Germany's downfall start. And it all began with Hitler missing the event, then denying it upon waking. That covers what Hitler voiced when D-Day started, and those terms still resonate in the past. Hitler's reply when D-Day launched altered all. His answer to the Normandy strike was doubt and hold-up. Hitler voiced at the D-Day assault showed deadly pride. His answer to the Allied strike was rejecting and rigid. Hitler's directives on D-Day arrived too tardy. His commands amid D-Day rested on a wrong notion. No Hitler D-Day address inspired his forces. Merely quiet, rest, and a ruinous slip. One dawn, one man's answer.